Well, good day to you. So I am sitting here on my red rocking chair. It is a lovely day here in southeastern Nebraska. And a question came up on Facebook. At first, I thought the guy was being a bit cheeky, but actually, the more I thought about it, it was a pretty good question. And it wasn't just him provoking with the question. I actually think it's a genuine question. A lot of people have. And it is about the story of Elisha in 2 Kings chapter 2 with the bears, the bears that supposedly when he eats the children, so to speak. So what's that all about? That seems a bit harsh, to say the least. The guy who asked me the question, I think he referred to it as a crime or something to that effect. How did God commit a crime? Did God do something evil when he sent the bears? I don't think so. Well, he's God, so he didn't commit a crime. But let's just explain why. I think we just have a very surface level reading of the story. First of all, it's a very short story. I think it's maybe 3 verses or something like that. I'd have to look it up. I think it's towards the end of chapter 2. But there are 2 words there to describe the boys, 2 words in Hebrew, and I'm not a heavy Hebrew guy, but I do remember going through it some years ago. And the 2 words for boys, the first word is a very general, wide open word, and that can mean boy, like a child boy. It can mean youth. It can kind of be referring to someone unimportant. It can sometimes even mean servant. The second word that's used in the next verse, or the verse after that, the other Hebrew word is a little more narrow, but it doesn't refer to servant or someone of unimportance. But it refers to a boy, and but age, just not a fully grown adult. So it could be a boy like 5, 6, or you could be a youth. You could be a young man, you could be a teenager, you could be 20 years old. So there's that variation, and I do believe different translations have it different ways. Some will say little boys, some will say youth, some will say young men. There's a great age possibility. Secondly is the word. It says they mocked Elijah. Now, that's a strong word there. Sometimes it's translated as ridicule. It wasn't just a joke or, oh, look at his funny bald head. It was, you idiot, you moron. Well, why be so harsh? Why why give a bald guy such a hard time? I mean, lots of older men are bald, right? Well, no, this was a low time in Israel's history. This is when they were worshiping other gods. This is when they were pagan. And Elijah, he was bald, not because of typical baldness, but his particular type of bald. He was bald because he had shaved his head as a prophet. He had taken on that sort of prophetic Nazirite commitment. So these were pagan young men that were mocking and ridiculing what was the sign of his dedication to God. And so Elijah, he doesn't take up any arms. Elijah doesn't pick up a sword or hit them. He just curses them and leaves it up to God to completely to fulfill that curse however God sees fit. So it is not Elisha who sends the bears. It is God who sends the bears. And God sees these young men. We don't know much about the young men. We don't know about their background. We don't know what they had done earlier that day. We don't know how often they had blasphemed the God of Israel and what they had done when they worshipped their foreign gods. But God saw fit to end their lives right then and there. And he did it by sending the bears. Does God have the right to kill somebody? Well, God kills everybody from Adam onward. And the day you eat of that tree, you shall surely die. One of these days, God's going to kill me. I'm going to get really old, and I'm going to die. And that's because of sin. That's the judgment of heaven against earth because of our sin. Now, there's hope and redemption in Christ Jesus, but one day I will die, and the wages of sin are death. Sometimes that comes at a old age. Sometimes, if God sees fit, that can be at a young age. He's God. He can do whatever he jolly well pleases. And if he wants to punish a man in his sins at a younger age than an older age, it's completely his prerogative. In this case, because they were mocking and ridiculing Elijah's commitment to God, God saw fit to kill these young men in the way that he did. And that should rightfully put the fear of God in you and me, not to blaspheme the King of Heaven.